Hey family, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Rachel D and I talk about all things related to faith, entrepreneurship, philanthropy, and relationships. So if you're new to my channel, thank you so much for dropping by today. We are in the ending phase of a Faith Moves series. That's Faith Moves. And throughout the series, I just talk about what faith is, how it shows up in your life, how it shows up in my life, some of the challenges of faith, some of the exciting things about faith. And I just kind of share with you some real stories about my experience walking out a life of faith. So if you are not a believer or a Christian, or if you haven't ascribed to a faith, I would just encourage you to check out those videos, because I think that no matter what your faith is, that you will recognize something that connects with you. So today we're closing out the series Faith Moves for the month of June, and I just want to tell you that this one is really one of my favorite things to talk about, only because I'm still figuring it out. So I feel like if I talk about it with other people, it helps me to kind of brainstorm and think about it. But today we're talking about, so what now, right? So we talked about Booked on a One Way. We talked about, which is all about the art of stepping out on faith, right? Then last week we talked about that wasn't the plan. So what happens when your plan and God's plan doesn't align together, right? It's like y'all are missing each other. So I talk about some things with that, and each of those episodes have resources for you to use as you try to navigate your own process and your own faith moves, right? But today I really want to talk about, so what now, right? What do you do when you don't know what to do, right? Say you've done everything that you could. Say you filled out the job applications, you're waiting for a call back. Say that you submitted the application for school and you're waiting to hear back to figure out whether or not you've been accepted and how much money they're gonna give you. Or you're planning something with a business partner in a project and you've submitted a request for a proposal, and you've submitted that proposal and you're trying to figure out if you guys are going to get the bid. Like, what do you do when you don't know what to do, right? There's so many things in our lives that are out of our control, right? That's just the reality of life. There are things that we can control and things that we can't. So the outcome, that's not really in our control. And what we have to do, and we talked about this last week, but that is, don't be married to the outcome, surrender to the process. And I just want to reiterate that, because being married to an outcome will stump you. It will hold you back. It will cause unnecessary anxiety and frustration. And I get it, right? Like we obviously set goals so that we can accomplish them, right? So it's not that we don't want a particular outcome. It's just that we release the control over how the outcome is going to happen, when it's going to happen, and what it looks like when it does happen, right? Because our outcome and God's outcome might look different, but 100% his outcome is always going to look better than my outcome. So I'm just going to leave that to him. But what do you do when you don't know what to do? So I've been in a process this whole year of literally on one-way tickets. Catch the first episode if you want to know more about that. But I've just been on this adventure, right, where I go places for work, I go places for rest, I go places for family, and I never know what my next place is going to be. I just never know. So I've been on these one-way tickets all over. I mean, Virginia, New York, Detroit. I've just been all over the place, and it is so interesting to me walking out this part of my journey. But in that process, I've been in prayer and I've been just thinking about what are my next steps. And so I've been applying and submitting and reading and trying to do hard work and be available to develop myself personally. And I'm at the point to where I'm just like, you know what? I don't know what else to do. I have done everything that I can in my power to position myself for this next level. And so what is it that I do? Well, I go back to some of the instructions that I've heard, some of the things that I've heard God say to me or speak to me. I go back to my journals and I review and I go over my goals. I go over my vision statements. I go over some of the plans that I have written down. We talk a lot about the Bible in this past series, and so I want to give you a scripture that has been helpful for me in terms of goal setting, but also in terms of reflection, right? So it's Habakkuk 2, and you'll see it here on the screen, but it is write the vision and make it plain. And what I love about that is that it's talking about being able to write out your vision, and it's helpful when we're planning, but it's also helpful when we're reflecting, when we're trying to understand and measure our success, right? To figure out, okay, what was my goal? How close am I to that goal? What else do I need to be doing? So it's an opportunity for me, for you, to go back, reevaluate some things, and make sure that you're on that right path. Make sure that you're hitting your targets. Make sure that you're doing everything that you can, right? And everything that you can control in order to get you closer to the goal that you're trying to meet. Again, we don't know how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and the road that it's going to take us on. But what we do know is that we do have this goal in mind, and we can plan for it to the best of our ability. And once we do everything that we can do, then we surrender to the process, right? The second thing I'll say is when you don't know what to do, one of the things that you can do is be still. Now, I know that is not exciting or enticing, right? To be still, especially me. I'm a busybody. I have to be moving. I have to be doing stuff. But I have learned the art of being still, right? And just meditating. I've learned through a close friend of mine who is studying meditation, and she was just talking to me about how meditating actually rewires your brain. And I think it's so interesting how science can prove how something that is so essential to our process of surrender, right, can help to literally rewire our brain. It helps us to stay grounded in the moment, helps us to stay present, helps the fog to lift for things that, sometimes have not been clear for us, but meditation can help us to stay in that moment. And for me, meditation is about communicating with God. Sometimes it's me closing my mouth and opening my ears so that I can hear what he's saying to me, so that I can get instruction for the next move. And then sometimes I don't hear him at all. I don't hear anything. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, so what am I listening for? And that's the moment when I recognize that I just need to be still. There's a scripture that says, be still and know that I am God. And that's God just saying to us that he's sovereign over everything, meaning he's in control over everything in our lives. And while we are, yes, free agents and we have free will, he still reigns over everything. So even in our decision-making process, God's plans will prevail. And so I just want to encourage you as you are thinking about, okay, I've done everything, right? I've gone over my goals. I've reviewed everything. I've gone back to the plan that I've written down, the vision that I made so plain, and I don't know what else to do. Okay, so be still. Be still. Meditate. Sit in silence. Listen to affirmations, encourage yourself, read scripture, do whatever it is that you need to do to keep your mind focused on being still and present in the moment. And then the last thing I'll say is, so what do you do when you don't know what to do? Go have fun. Go to a play, get a new book. Go to your favorite coffee shop and people watch. I mean, have fun. So many times when we are ambitious people and we're goal driven, we're mission driven, we are faith driven. Those things are noble and they're great, but sometimes, and I've been so guilty of this in my life, but sometimes we miss out on the beauty around us because we are just on this one track. And we've got tunnel vision, which can be good, but it can also be limiting when all you're thinking about is the goal and you're not considering all of the beauty around you. You're not considering the people who you're meeting. You're not considering the beauty in nature. I mean, take a walk, go outside, get some fresh air, allow yourself to relax and just let things come to you, because when you do that, you're communicating to God that you trust him, that you believe that he's got it under control, and that you've done your due diligence. When you've gone through all of those steps, go outside, have fun, do something, take a trip, even do a staycation, whatever it is that you can to relax and to enjoy life in the present moment. I would encourage you to do that. So really, just to wrap up, so what now? What do you do when you don't know what to do? Number one, go back to your vision, revisit it, understand what it is that you're aiming for, and make sure you're hitting those targets, and then release it. Number two, be still, meditate, pray, whatever it is that you have to do, get into a position of stillness so that you can hear, so that you can be present. And then the last thing is have fun, do something fun, go outside, enjoy yourself. We're coming up on a holiday weekend in the United States. It's going to be the 4th of July, which celebrates some levels of independence for America. We'll talk about that later. But have fun, go to a cookout, curate a dope playlist, enjoy yourself, and just make sure that you remember that things happen when they're supposed to happen, and there are things that we can't control and things that we can. Focus on the things that you can control and release the things that you can't. So I hope that this last message was empowering for you, encouraging to get you to go out there. You got all the tools that you need. Go back to the previous episodes. Make sure you catch the other two that we talked about, Faith Moves, Booked on a One Way, and so that wasn't the plan. So figure out what it is that you need to do to move into faith, to really surrender to the process and to release whatever the outcome is. And trust God. Just trust God. Listen, I'm rooting for you. I'm praying for you. We're in this thing together. Make sure that you comment, like, and subscribe. Be sure to share this with somebody if you feel like it could really bless them. I want to hear from you. I love interaction. Be sure to check out other videos on this channel. And I look forward to seeing you next month as we talk about, what are we going to talk about? Relationships. Yeah, that part. Relationships. But it's not what you think. So be sure to tune in July. We're going to be talking about relationships. Enjoy your 4th of July weekend. If you're in the U.S., have a great time. If you're not, if you're elsewhere, we will see you in 2 weeks. God bless.